Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Parasight Radio right here on the Fate Radio Network. I just wanted to let everybody know to have a good and happy Thanksgiving. I know it's a day early, but I won't be talking to anybody. But wanted to get that out now. Also, if you guys are on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, you can find Parasite Radio on Facebook and Twitter, and you can like the page and follow up on anything that's going on. Also, you can also go to www.parasiteradio.net and find out on upcoming shows, watch past shows, and all that good stuff. Tonight I'm going to be talking to Jesse Marshall Jr., author of The Roswell Legacy. Jesse, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, very well. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Now, for everybody who's never heard of you or heard of the book, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I retired military, and I've had a private practice of medicine here in Helena, Montana, and I have about 30 or 40 years of military under my belt, too, besides the civilian practice. I just retired from the military in December of '05 after serving 2 tours in Iraq. So now I'm fully retired, just looking for things to do.
All right. Now, if I read everything correctly, your father was the first military officer on the scene for the Roswell incident, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, can you explain a little bit to everybody who doesn't know, even though I know everybody probably does know, but can you explain to everybody what the Roswell incident was?
Okay. It's happened in New Mexico, just out of Roswell, New Mexico, which is a town in the southwest corner of the state where the Roswell Army Airfield was. That's the home base for the 509th Bomb Group, which is the group that dropped the atomic bombs on Japan. And my dad was the chief intelligence officer for the 509th Bomb Group, so he was in on everything out there. But apparently, something crashed on a ranch out of Roswell. And since my dad was the intelligence officer, Colonel Blanchard, who was the base commander, dispatched my dad and a CIC agent, Sheridan Cabot, out to the ranch to see what had crashed, because the ranch foreman, Mac Brazel, had brought parts of the wreckage in, and they didn't know what it was, whether it was a military plane crash or just what. So they sent those 2 gentlemen out there to pick up remains and kind of scope out the situation. And that's where all this got started. And my dad realized that this was not a military aircraft of any kind or anything that he'd ever seen in his military career. It's some kind of aircraft of unknown type.
Now, for everybody that does know the Roswell incident, it was always put off as a weather balloon or some type of natural phenomena. Now, your father found the material there, and it was nothing like a weather balloon or anything he's ever seen, right?
Oh yeah. He'd gone to radar school, so he knew what weather balloons and the radar targets and everything that looked like. But when he got out there, he said this debris covered a very large field of area, maybe a half mile, maybe 3/4 mile long or a mile long. I'm not quite sure, but he said it covered a considerable area. So what he and Sheridan Cabot did, they picked up representative portions of this so they could bring it back into the base so that Colonel Blanchard could see what they found. And so they were in 2 separate vehicles, and what my dad did is put some in the back of a 1942 Buick, and since our house happened to be on the way to the air base, even though it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, he stopped by to show my mother and myself this strange-looking debris that he found out in the field. And that's where I got into this.
Okay. Now, when he brought it to you guys to look at that point, the military had no other involvement other than sending him out there?
That's correct.
Okay.
So he was not breaking security at that time because it was not classified till they got back to the base.
Okay. From the time that he brought it home to the time that he brought it to the base, what did you guys figure out as far as the material was concerned?
Well, what he had done, he'd spread the representative portions of this out on the kitchen floor, which is about an 8 by 10 foot area there. And he woke myself, my mother up, and so when I got into the kitchen area, I looked at all this strange metal debris on the floor. And he was very excited. He said, look closely at this because I think this is parts of, and I think he said flying saucer or words to that effect.
Mm.
And he says, you'll never see this again, so remember what you're seeing right now. So that's where it is.
And from when you guys were looking at the material and everything, could you decipher what it could have looked like, or explain it to the listeners what it might have looked like?
Yeah, sure. What there was a lot of foil-like material, almost like this Alcor aluminum kitchen wrap. But it wasn't that either, but it looked like that. That's what it resembled. There was a lot of that. Pardon me, my voice is going away. But the strangest part was there's some beams that look like I-beams to my recollection that had some very strange markings along the inner surface.
Mm-hmm.
And these beams were metallic, and they had this, like, not Egyptian hieroglyphics, but geometric symbols of various shapes and configurations imprinted along the inner surface. And I do remember the color of these symbols. They're a purple, violet hue, kind of semi-reflective of light. And this beam itself was about 12 to 18 inches long with a 3/8 inch, cross-sectional area. So these figures were very small, but they're strange. And I looked around. There's some black plastic type of debris that I could not define either. The first thing he wanted me to do, though, was look for any electronic component, like vacuum tubes, resistors, or condensers or wires, but there wasn't anything like that. But I think he already knew that. He just wanted me to satisfy my own myself on that. But anyway, it's a strange material. I understand, I did not try to tear or bend the foil, but I understand from my dad's description later that you fold it up, it would unfold like metal with a memory. And that's pretty strange.
Right. Now, when he brought it back to the base, did he ever tell you if there was any tests done to see what it was? What it was made of?
His job was to kind of act as a courier to bring this material to the Fort Worth Army Airfield where General Ramey is. He was the 8th Air Force commander at that time. And so Blatchford wanted General Ramey to see what this was, too. And so my dad, under armed guard, brought this in a B-29 to Fort Worth Army Airfield. And I later saw pictures of my dad in General Ramey's office kneeling over a very mundane type of radar target, just foil, which was not what we saw in our kitchen. Mm. So they had switched the debris by the time the picture was taken.
Right.
That's where the cover-up started.
I remember reading that in the book. Now, what did your father think of all of this when they tried to cover it up? What was his mindset?
Well, if you saw those pictures, you saw him kneeling down on Ramey's floor with holding up a radar target, and the look on his face says it all. So you got to be kidding me. This is not what I brought in here.
Yeah.
But as a good soldier, he was following orders. He was told to just obey commands and go along with the cover-up, which he did.
Now, in the book, you say that the main reason you wrote this book was to basically clear your dad's name of any type of smearing or anything like that. What exactly happened when he decided to do the cover-up? Did he want to come clean, or did he come clean and they started to do stuff, or what happened?
Yeah, what happened is that I guess Stanton Friedman got wind of the fact that as an Army officer, he had seen some very strange material in Roswell. So Stanton Friedman interviewed my dad in 1978, and that's where the story started unfolding. But after that time, we didn't talk about it. As a matter of fact, when my dad came home from Fort Worth, he sat my mother and myself down and said, "Don't ever talk about this. It's like a non-event. It didn't happen." But in 1978, he started talking about it himself, so I felt a little released from that command at that point because he was spreading the word on it.
Right.
And Stanton Friedman was.
Well, and I think to this day, the Roswell incident is still open for debate, right? Nobody is still really sure what really happened.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Exactly right. I saw it, and I don't think it was anything that we made because of the strange quality of the writing and all that.
Right.
My dad had the same impression. But I guess, there's good to have, it's good to have skeptics on this thing because they kind of keep people honest, and I guess they're still trying to determine what it was. Oh, I think well, they know what it was because the material is probably rolled back to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where I think it still is, if you can believe the some of the accounts of the thing. But
Right.
they still have it someplace.
Right. Well, last week I had on Kevin Randall. He told me to tell you to say hello.
Okay.
And he,
Okay.
one of the biggest things that I was talking to him about is how many instances there are of cases of crashed UFOs. Have you researched that at all, as far as what has been real and what has just been phenomena, as far as natural phenomena in the sky?
Well, I'm just an observer. I saw this one event, and I'm not a researcher like Stanton Friedman or Kevin Randall. They go into the details and research on this thing for interviews with people. But like I said, I'm just the observer, just to tell people what I saw and let them draw conclusions from that.
Right. Well, in your opinion, what was the first thing that you thought when your dad had brought this stuff home?
My first thought was, why is he waking me up to show me all this metal junk on the floor there? It wasn't until I got down on my hands and knees and started looking at it, oh, goodness gracious, what the heck is this?
Right.
And it was so, the strange quality of it just made me think this is not anything I've ever seen, and probably no one else.
Right. Well, and when you started to play with it yourself, did your mind start to change a little bit as far as curiosity?
Yeah, I did. I didn't keep any of it like a lot of people thought I did, but because this is Air Force property, I was thinking of. But I realized at that time that this is probably not of human manufacture, and if we didn't make it, I mean somebody else did. And they're smarter than we are because they get here from wherever they come from.
Right.
God only knows where that is.
Right. Well, and I think one of the most fascinating things that I was talking about with Kevin is, with as many crashes as there have been, or supposedly have been, I was always curious to know, with all this technology that they're supposed to have, why are they, when they get to Earth, crashing to Earth?
Well, it could be that they're disposable. These might be just probes like we're sending out to their own planets here in the solar system.
Oh, okay.
And they might be just one-way devices. Once they examine an area, maybe they in some way transmit the information back to where they come from, or maybe there's a mothership, if you want to believe that, somewhere in our solar system that gleans the information.
Right. Well, and I think that's a really good possibility. For a lot of the cases, I know there was a couple where they said they had recovered bodies. For the Roswell incident, there was no bodies recovered, right?
Well, actually, there's actually two portions, two areas that this thing covered. There was the primary debris field that my dad was primarily interested in, but apparently, from reading, there's another crash site not too far away that had the main body of the craft, and if there are bodies there, that's where they were found. And I think there might have been, because my dad knew the bodies. He did not see them himself, but he knew of people who did see them. So I have to take his word on that.
Right. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Folks, you're listening to Parasight Radio right here on the Fate Radio Network. I'm talking to Jesse Marcel Jr. about his book, The Roswell Legacy, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.